All right, good evening, everybody, and happy Sunday. It is March 27, 2022. It is Oscars night. I believe it is the 94th Oscars. So tonight I thought it would be very fitting to sort of talk about a lot of the streaming services on Wall Street. So we'll talk about Netflix tonight. We will talk about Disney Plus, Hulu, and the like. So in the cover story of Barron's today, it says streaming goes Hollywood. So this year's Academy Awards will give a starring role to films that skip the movie theaters, but streaming businesses will need more than a few Oscars to get back to normal. It says when the 94th Academy Awards air on Sunday night, which is tonight, viewers will see a parade of movies that never actually made it to theaters. Streaming giant Netflix is nominated for 27 Oscars, more than any other studio, while Apple TV has 6 nominations and Amazon Studios has 4. Numerous other nods came from films from Walt Disney and Warner Brothers that made their debuts simultaneously in theaters and on streaming platforms. So happy Oscars night to everybody. Happy Sunday. It is snowing here in New York. So we'll be doing a very relatively short stream. So once I put my computer away, we will get started. And let's check who we have in the chat. I think I see the ABX girl. Good to see you, ABX girl. I see Bianca M. Welcome, everybody. I see Joey, the one and only Otto, is here. Welcome. Ruby Falcone is here. Says, good evening, Tom and Walks in Wall Street family. Good to see you, Ruby, as always. I'm not sure if you guys could see this on the stream, but it is snowing out, which is a little bit crazy. Samantha J is here. Good to see you. Gregory, my friend Vinny Castellano from Staten Island. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Vinny. And then we will get started. I think I want to walk around Midtown tonight because we didn't get to go to Midtown Manhattan yesterday on the stream, but we will do that tonight. So let me see. Hey, photos from around New York. Says Tom, it was snowing earlier too. Yeah, I think the snow is going to continue until the early morning. Not too big of a fan of it, to be honest. Definitely wishing for the spring. Ruby Falcone, good to see you. Photos from around New York. Dallas says, hey Tom, good evening. I see Juan, I see Pablo David, or Davila, says, hey Tom. Nicole says, hey Tom from the UK. Welcome everybody from the UK. Mohammed is here, says, hey, good morning from Malaysia. Welcome to all of our viewers from Malaysia. Carol Reevy is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Hope you had a good day. Vinny Castellano is like, Tom, you should definitely get an Oscar for the narration. I appreciate that, Vinny. I really do. So everybody, I thought we'd do a little bit of a fun stream because obviously it is the Oscars tonight. I think it's the 94th edition of the Oscars, I think. You guys can keep me honest with that. But I think it's very interesting how the film industry in Hollywood has evolved over the years. So you think about traditional media as, movies that are going into theaters. But now, especially since the pandemic, people couldn't go to the movie theaters. So a lot of these big budget films actually debuted on Netflix and things like that. So there was a cover story in Barron's this week that was talking about the trajectory and the future of streaming services, not only in the United States, but around the world. And the only sort of streaming service that is profitable right now is Netflix. And it is expected to generate a ridiculous amount of free cash flow. I think almost $999 million worth of free cash Netflix is expected to generate. And hopefully in 2025, Netflix will surpass $1 billion in free cash flow generated. Hey, Otto says, I'm amazed how many nominations Netflix has. Yeah, Otto, you're right. So that was in the Barron's cover story today as well, that Netflix has a bunch of films nominated. So we are near the St. Mark's area. I see Savi is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Hey, Savi. Cosmo says, there's a reason Netflix is in Fang. Agreed. Absolutely, Cosmo. Tiago Pereira says, hey, what's up, everybody? Good to see you. I see Ruby Falcone. Edson Tyree. welcome Judy D. Says good evening everybody, and Tom, hey Judy. Sally says hi Tom, I'm here. Good to see you, Sally. And Sheila Neal says hello and happy Sunday to everybody. Chris says Miami looks good right now. I know. So it's really crazy that it's snowing here in New York. Wasn't expecting that, but supposedly tomorrow it's actually going to be a little bit colder than it is now. But we'll try to make our way uptown, and hopefully as we head towards Midtown, hopefully it'll be a little less windy and things will actually start to warm up for us. But Netflix is nominated for 27 Oscars. Isn't that crazy? Hey, Falcon Space says it's freezing here in upstate New York. So Falcon Space, how far upstate are you? Would love to know. But I didn't get a chance to check S&P futures. I didn't get a chance to check the NASDAQ 100 futures or the Dow. So let us know where futures are trading. So here is a little bit of an excerpt from the Barron's article. It says, when the 94th Academy Awards air on Sunday night, which is tonight, viewers will see a parade of movies that never actually made it to theaters. Streaming giant Netflix, ticker symbol N, Netflix, was nominated for 27 Oscars. So Netflix alone was nominated for 27 Oscars, more than any other studio, while Apple TV Plus has 6 nominations and Amazon Studios has 4 nominations. So pretty interesting as we are here outside of 51 Astor Place overlooking the beautiful bull. Not bull, the what's it called, like the dog? I'm not too sure what it's called. This is Tom, what did you do today? I really took the day off. I mainly spent the day reading and sort of hanging out. So didn't do too much physical activity, so we'll get the exercise, we'll get the road work in now. But what about you, Chris? I hope you had a good Sunday. Hey, Buy the Book is here. It says, hey Tom, good to see you, Buy the Book. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday evening. Yes, balloon animal dog, photos from around New York. Do you know the artist? I think the artist is very, very familiar. Ruby Falcone's like, definitely not a bull, Tom. Yeah, I'm so used to saying, hey, check out the mighty bull in the Grand Central Terminal. XXX, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Jeffrey Coons, you were right, photos from around New York. Jeffrey Coons. Chris Beeman says, Tom, I worked all day today. Easy Andy, good to see you. Edson is here. Welcome. Hey, Mets fan says, I thought he was back in Miami. We will be back in Miami soon. We will be back in Miami very soon. So I know you guys probably can't hear it because of the microphone, but we have crazy amount of wind here in Manhattan today. But we will head up towards Midtown Manhattan. Hey, Manny Test is here. Says, hey, Dallas is here. Says, hey, Tom, looks like a terrific view from your perspective. Good to see you, Dallas, and thank you for joining. Border Rage says, hey, Tom, no snow in Florida. Come on back, I know. Yeah, I mean, it's very uncharacteristic to be snowing this late in March. Usually we have about 50 degrees, maybe like 50, 55 degrees here in New York. So a little crazy, but I guess we'll have to deal with it. Edson says, Tom, it's already snowing in some parts of New York. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys could see on the stream now because the flurries are coming down extremely light. So maybe it doesn't pick it up on the stream, but it definitely is snowing nonetheless. Although when I did get off the train today, it really wasn't like a snow. It was more along the lines of like these pellet type hail. Hey, NMB045, so speaking of the Oscars, who is your favorite older classic actor? So you know what, photos from around New York, I was actually reminiscing on my old film class that I took in college. And my favorite film, I'm going to butcher the name of it, but I think it was called Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross. And I think Alec Baldwin did a phenomenal job in that film portraying the stereotypical, cocky real estate sales guy. The always be closing, coffees for closers. I think he did a great job with that. Now, obviously, I don't condone that type of behavior in sales, but I think from a film perspective, it was just amazing acting. Really, really phenomenal. Yeah, ABC, always be closing. So who was that? And I know you guys are probably more up to date with the actors' names than I am. Who is the really famous Italian actor in there? That there's that one iconic scene. Oh, here's a tent. Huh. There's a really one iconic scene, and he has a client that comes into the office, and he assured the customer that he didn't cash the check. But I think it was Kevin Spacey that comes out of the office and he's like, no, we cashed your check, it's good, don't worry about it. And then the other actor has that famous line where he's like, if you ever worked a day in your life, I forget what he said, but it was a great line. You never open your mouth unless you know what the shot is, I think was the line there. Yes, Al Pacino, yes, Photos from Around New York, bingo. That was such a great scene. That was such a great scene in that movie. A lot of cursing in that movie, but I mean, just the acting is so good. Hey, Maria is here, says hello from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Good to see you. Elaine is here, says hello from Brazil as well. Jay is here, says Grace Church, good to see you. Alan Wilson says an unforgettable line. Hey, Roy S, good to see you. Roy S says, hey Tom, mods, and everybody. I am ready to pick Tom's stream for best live documentary. Hey, thank you, Roy. I appreciate that. Good to see you, Roy S. Ruby Falcone says, Tom, how does Ocho do with the cold? He doesn't really like it, to be totally honest. So he tends to just sleep on the couch all day. And not too big of a fan. Hey, Randy the Machine says, a marketing company I work for used the movie for training new sales reps. Yeah, I think the always be closing in the AIDA is definitely always around sales offices around the country. Hey, Atomic Skittles says, hey Tom, are we in Lower Manhattan tonight? We are not. We're actually going to venture uptown towards Radio City Music Hall. But good to see you, Atomic Skittles. Lena Sandoval is here. Good to see you, Lena Sandoval. Mike C says, oh yeah, this is infinitely more entertaining than the Oscars. Good to see you, Mike C. So I wanted to make it sort of like an Oscar-themed stream, as cringe and corny as that may sound, but I think it's important because we're seeing this shift away from traditional media. We're seeing this shift away from traditional, you buy your cable package where it's a bundle, it comes with the home phone, the home internet, and cable TV. That is a declining industry, and what we've been seeing is Americans, and not only people here domestically but abroad, are cutting cable and signing up for streaming services. So we could talk about Netflix, we could think about Apple TV, Apple Plus, Hulu, and many, many others, Disney Plus. So for this year's Oscars, Netflix is nominated for 27 of those Oscars. Isn't that crazy? And I think Otto, just a little while ago, said he was surprised about how many Oscars Netflix was nominated for. So Netflix is nominated for 27 Oscars, more than any other studio, while Apple TV has 6 nominations and Amazon Studios has 4. Numerous other nods came from films from Walt Disney's Warner Brother that made their debuts simultaneously in theaters and on streaming platforms as well. Yeah, Teresa Roberts says Roku is another one. You're right. Nick Rock says we have Fubo TV. So that leads me to my next question. I think it'd be interesting just to get a little bit of a poll in the chat, because I'm going to reveal an interesting statistic later on in the channel, and we'll talk about which streaming services are set to generate the most free cash, not only in 2022, but through 2025. So we'll do the analysis of the free cash flow later in the stream. But how many streaming services do you guys subscribe to, if any? I would be very interested to know. Hey, we got War Walker here. Good to see you, War Walker. This is YouTube only. I watch Tomcat and a few others. Good to see you, War Walker. And thank you, by the way. Yeah, I would say YouTube counts as one, because YouTube is starting to make and invest in proprietary content. I'm not sure how successful it's going to be. Pearl Heart 481 says I subscribe to 2. Elaine's is my mother. I love your lives. Say hi to her. You turned off the Oscars to watch you. Hey, thank you so much for watching the stream. We love your mother too on the stream. Thank you for watching. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, I use YouTube Premium, but that's it. That counts as one. Andrew says you're subscribed to all of them. Wow. NMB045 says definitely YouTube only. Mike C says, I've lost count at how many streaming services we have as a family. All I watch is YouTube. Andrew says you subscribe to 3. GGMYC says you subscribe to Hulu. Samantha R says, hey Tom, good to see you. Photos from around New York says 3. So it seems like, and I can't really read them all because they're coming in so hot, but it seems like the vast majority of people are subscribed to about anywhere from 1 to 3 streaming services, and that actually coincides with the average. So Goldman Sachs, there was a report out of Goldman Sachs over the weekend that says on average Americans are subscribed to 2.5 streaming services. Melee says YouTube is free. I think, so there is a YouTube Premium that you could pay for, in which case you'll get access to premium content, and I believe there's no advertising. Hey, Solo401, what's up? Says hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Good to see you, Solo. It is freezing and windy tonight on this Oscar night. Abdullah is here, says I only subscribe to YouTube. Well, it's good that I'm long alphabet then. Hey, Action Kid says there's also a YouTube TV too. Yeah. Action Kid, good to see you. Action Kid, I wish I was back in Miami, man. I'm freezing out here. It's snowing here in New York. Crazy. So I'll give you a view of the Whole Foods, because one of our viewers, Michael Wells Jr., is actually the manager of the store. But the only thing about these streaming services is that they're a huge, huge money pit. So essentially how the business model works, as we know, a lot of companies are trying to transition to an as-a-service business model or a SaaS business model. It's no different with these streaming services, but it's almost like a never-ending perpetual cycle. Because think about it like this. In order for you to keep paying for these streaming subscription services, there needs to be new content. Right? And in order for there to be new content, these companies such as Alphabet, such as Amazon, have to invest into the content. So that can be billions and billions of dollars. Hey, Chris Beeman, good to see you. Solo401 says HBO Max is my favorite right now. Good to see you, Solo. Sinjib says, hey Tom, how are you? I'm doing really good. Robert, good to see us as surprise guest ending the Ultra Music Festival. Very cool. Hey, Easy Andy, good to see you. Says with this channel, anybody can walk around New York. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to read a little excerpt out of the article. It says, as the critical acclaim builds, the business of streaming is facing tough questions. With the exception of Netflix, no one is making money in the streaming in streaming today. Instead, the industry remains in a land grab phase, with companies throwing tens of billions of dollars into original series and movies, marketing, and promotional content in an effort to win subscribers. Goldman Sachs analysts estimate that the top 10 streaming companies will spend over $130 billion on original content in 2022, up 10% from last year, in an effort to gain a land grab of subscribers. So, just a little bit of a recap of that paragraph there. It seems as if Wall Street at one point, and I think even still now, the main metric that they want to see is subscriber growth, right? But I think the number two metric as we go forth into, deeper into 2022 through 2025 is the churn ratio, right? So when you're building your financial models, let's say if I'm an analyst at Goldman Sachs or I'm an analyst at Deutsche Bank, when I'm assigned to one of these companies and I'm building my financial model, based upon the fact that these subscription services are billed monthly, it doesn't matter if you have crazy subscriber growth if you're having extremely high churn, right? So the main metric that you want to put into your financial model is, what is the churn rate? What is the churn ratio? For every 10 customers that sign up, how many churn, right? So I think that as we collect more data and as the content gets better, or they roll out more premium content, for example on Netflix, which seems like they have pretty good content, being that they're nominated for 27 Oscars, I think the streaming service that's going to generate the most free cash are not the streaming services that are adding the most subscribers, but the streaming services that have the lowest churn ratios. Because if, according to Goldman Sachs, the top 10 streaming companies will spend more than $130 billion on content this year, a 10% increase than last year. So churn is going to be a really, really big deciding factor here. Because if you're throwing $130 billion at this thing, and somebody just signs up to watch one TV show, and then once the season ends, they churn, yeah, that company's going to go under pretty fast. I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're subscribed to Amazon Prime. Solo401 says, I get Prime free with Metro PCS. So Solo401, that's a great point. It's a great point because I think with Verizon, if you sign up for, I think it's an unlimited data plan, you may get an option of either one streaming service, which I think is Disney Plus. Hey, Life, Liberty, and Guns is here. Says, good evening. Hope all is well tonight. Love your walks with a business twist. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Solo401 says, Apple TV was like that. Had one good show. Yeah, so if you only have one good show, people are just going to sign up or do the free 30-day trial, and then they're just going to churn. But good point. Hey, XTCZ says, hey, Tom. It's me, Tommy C. Other phone account. Can't link Prism yet. Ah, gotcha. But good to see you. We are here in Union Square Park. Melee is here. Says, good to see you, my friend. Spencer says, greeting from Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. Love it. Hopefully I'll be able to visit the Bay Area very soon. Easy Andy says, I say that everyone can give a like. It costs nothing. Thank you so much. Dooley says, what are some good family-friendly things to do and see in New York City? I would say during the day, not at night. I'd say during the day, you should probably go to Riverside Park, especially if you have little kids. I think Riverside Park is a very underrated park here in New York City. And it's a beautiful park too. A lot of the tourists just spend their time in Central Park, which can get a little bit crowded, especially if you're spending a lot of your time below 72nd Street. But if you venture over to Riverside Park, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Mike C says we have to live. Mike C says we have to have live TV so my wife can watch the Food Network. Yeah, Dave. So Mike C, it seems like some cable companies are holding on to some subscribers based upon one or two networks or one or two channels. I think Fox Business is another one, CNN may be another one. Yeah, GGNYC says, I love Riverside Park, much quieter. Agreed. Hey, Cynthia Martinez says, why would you get stuff if you have a smart TV? Well, I think on a smart TV you can download those applications, right? You could download Netflix and watch Netflix and things like that. But yeah, the cable TV industry is in structural decline for sure, and I think it may be even accelerating that decline based upon the fact of some 5G fixed wireless solutions that are coming out via Verizon and T-Mobile, which I'm actually going to write about that in the Behind the Street newsletter. So on Monday or tomorrow after the bell, after the market closes, I will be sending out that email for the Behind the Street newsletter. So if you guys are not signed up yet, if you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to the Behind the Street newsletter, and we are going to be writing about a lot of the major wireless carriers too, doing a little bit of equity research there. Photos from around New York says, my cable guy got worried when I said my cell phone internet connection is better than my home internet. Yeah. You know, Photos from around New York, if you're just doing very minor things and you're not uploading, right, because there's two main components, right? It's your download speeds and your upload. If you're not like uploading like massive amounts of 4K video or something like that, you can probably self-sustain off of your cell phone's hotspot, to be totally honest. But again, a lot of the cable companies don't want to say that. Hey, Estelle says, are you back in New York? We are. Good to see you, Estelle. Estelle is joining us from Australia. Good to see you. Atomic Skittle says, Tom, do you often take the subway? Very seldom do I take the subway. I usually just walk. Hey, Nick is here. Good to see you, Nick. Hey, Paul P says, the Museum of Natural History is a great place to take the kids. Agreed. That is on the Upper West Side as well. Museum of Natural History is one of my favorite museums in the city. Cynthia Martinez says, Tom, I watch Chicago Med on the Apple TV. WC says, Tom, your channel has no churn and better ratings than MSNBC. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's funny. That's really funny. Hey, Silver Hooper says, hi, Tom. Are you a New Yorker? Yes, I am. Well, actually, I guess I can consider myself a Miamian. Is that what they call them? I forget. Sebastian is here. Good to see you, Sebastian. Somewhat knowledgeable geek. This is good evening, Tom, and everybody. Good to see you. Samantha R is here. Gummy Bear is here. This is Tom. Please check out the Macy's flowers. So we're going to walk up that way for sure, and we will definitely check him out. But thank you for joining tonight, Gummy Bear. Hopefully everybody's weekend was good. Hopefully you are all enjoying the weekend. Man, it is cold out though. A buses Floridian, that's what they're called. Christina says, Tom, do you ever think about doing a live stream on Long Island? So sometimes I do, but I don't think the service is good out there. Hey, Miss Brown Eyes says, happy Saturday or Sunday, everybody. It's currently 61 degrees in California. Good to see you, Miss Brown Eyes, and happy Oscar night, I guess. Good to see you. The Swan says, Tom, are you using a different phone? The stream is buffering like crazy. Yeah, maybe it's just the internet here. Is it buffering for anybody else? Hey, Stephanie says, stay warm. I heard it's going to be really cold tomorrow in New York City. It's really cold tonight. Hey, Scott says, Tom, have you ever considered having a guest walker join you for added insight? Maybe somebody in the investment industry. So I thought about that, Scott, but then again, I think I do way too much walking for that. So what I do instead, I'm not sure if you're receiving the Behind the Street newsletter, but I'm going to incorporate interviews in the Behind the Street newsletter. So coming up very soon, either this Monday or next Monday, I'm going to have some very notable CPAs and hedge fund managers do exclusive interviews on the Walks on Wall Street channel, in which case I will publish those interviews on the Behind the Street newsletter. So if you guys want to get those for free, I don't charge for any of the content. If you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link. But here we are on the corner of 22nd Street. Beautiful view of the Empire State Building. Hey, Sabrina Fair, good to see you. Hey, the ABX girl says ratings at the Oscars are expected to crater, and next week's Grammys will be worse. Wow. Hey, Vinny Chung is here. Says good evening, Tom. Hey, Vinny, good to see you. Mike C, good to see you. So we'll see if you could scan the QR code. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier. But we'll see if we can get it there. I'm not sure if it'll work. Yeah, so if you scan that QR code on your screen, it will take you to the link where you can get all the interviews with the hedge fund managers, and that will be coming up. So you just have to punch your email in there, and then you will be rocking. You'll be good. But this is a beautiful view of the Empire State Building here tonight. But despite the pandemic bump in Netflix shares, ticker symbol NFLX, Netflix stock has gone sideways for the past 3 years. Over the past 12 months, the stock has just underperformed the broader market, but also shares of the country's largest movie theater chains, AMC Entertainment, ticker symbol AMC, and Cinemark Holdings, ticker symbol CNK, shares of Walt Disney, ticker symbol DSN, which run the number 2 streaming platform in Disney Plus, have fallen 27% in the year. So it seems like the multiples are probably going to come down a little bit for Netflix because a lot of the growth is already in there. I think Netflix already has like over 200 million subscribers. So I think now the next thing that Wall Street is going to look for is not really the subscriber growth, but if Netflix can hold on to their pricing power. And what I mean by that is, let's say Netflix has 200 million subscribers. Is Netflix going to be able to raise their prices 25% every other 5 years or so? And if they are able to raise those prices, how many customers will churn their accounts? And if that churn ratio is very low, then Netflix is going to cash flow like crazy, and I think the stock is probably trading at a 50% discount right now. Wow, check that out. So we have the Empire State Building, and we also have the one and only Chrysler Building in the same shot. Looks beautiful. Hey, Andy S says I'm also watching the Oscars. Mike C says my Netflix holdings is down 44%. There's a very notable hedge fund manager on Wall Street, Bill Ackman, that has just made a sizable investment in Netflix. Nicole James says, what do you think of the A-list stars of the Oscars getting $140,000 gift bags? Do you think that money could be better used for charities? Probably. I didn't know they get $140,000 gift bags. I wonder what's in the gift bags that's worth $140,000. But it's a beautiful night, but a cold night out. Hey, Abdullah says, wow, beautiful view. Good to see you, Abdullah. Hey, Sina NSN says, beautiful city. Hey, Leo says, hey, Tom, for every Tesla you captured during your live stream, I would be happy to contribute $5 to Tesla to support your stream. Wow, Leo, that's awesome, man. Yogi says, I think that's a lot of sponsorship stuff. Interesting. So I'll show you guys the clock tower here. Silver Hooper says Rolex watches in the gift bags. Jeez. So here's another interesting excerpt out of the article. It says the growing rivalries spawned the idea of the streaming wars, quote unquote, but recent years have demonstrated that this isn't a winner-takes-all game. American households subscribed to an average of 4.5 streaming services last year, according to J.D. Power, and the average American spends about $55 a month on streaming subscriptions each month. Peter Webley says Netflix supports Gavin Newsom's and progressive district attorney. Good to see you, Peter. Mike the Printer says I used to walk through there every weekday. Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots in the city near Madison Square Park here. So that's interesting. I never knew that. So on average, the average American is subscribed to 4.5 streaming services, and they spend an average of $55 a month on subscriptions. But here's the kicker. The typical cable package in America still costs $98. So even though you're subscribed to 4 or 5 different streaming services, you're technically actually saving money by cutting the cord. So I think a lot of analysts are going to have to adjust their financial models based upon what the Barron's article said to say, look, it's not a winner's take all situation. You could have Netflix. You could have Hulu. You could have Disney Plus. You don't need to just have one. And it looks like American consumers can actually afford it because on average they're paying $98 for traditional cable. If you cut the cable, take your pick between the 4 major streaming services, and now we're talking. Sia says, where is this in New York City? So we are right outside of the Flatiron building. So if you look dead ahead, you will see the Flatiron building here. Unfortunately, it is all covered in scaffolding. Dante Rose is here. Says, hey Tom. Hey Dante. Happy Sunday. But Cena NSN, it's good to see you. Somewhat knowledgeable geek. Says that's not including the extra boxes and such. Rob DeCaro says, I got a question for you. How do I get live chat with my phone and video camera? How do you get live chat? I think you are in the live chat right now. Brad's Brain says, I subscribe to a few streaming services, but watch some guy walk around New York and Miami on YouTube all the time. Well, thank you, Brad's Brain. I appreciate that. Hey, MD is here. Says YouTube has great live streams. Good to see you. All right, let's try to head uptown now. Hey, Jason Francis says, hello, Tom. Good evening to the chat and crew. What is up, Jason Francis? Hope you're well on this Oscar night. Mr. Fine Arts says, walks on Wall Street equals ready for the week / multiple studios / services competition, hopefully for better shows / watching your show after 60 minutes real estate special. Thank you so much. And I see Sabrina Fair. Good to see you. Leo, appreciate you. Hey, St. Vincent says, yes, some of that money could be used for charities. Yeah, I didn't know that, what's it called? They have $140,000 gift bags. But check this out. It seems like a lot of the trees are blooming, but hopefully they don't die because it's like 25 degrees out today. Hey, Rob DeCaro says, who won the NCAA basketball tournament? I don't know. I think we are still in the Elite Eight. Mike C says, who wants streaming services when you can't type to the broadcaster? That's true. Leo, appreciate it. Adam S says, I bet you make good money out of your YouTube live stream, which you deserve. I don't really monetize the channel. I mean, I do run like advertising on it, but that's very minuscule. But we do it. I have a blast doing it. I really like it. And thank you for being here. Hey, Bit of Wander's here. Says, hello, everybody. Hope you're well. Good to see a Bit of Wander. Joel K says, UNC, Kansas, Duke, Villanova are in the Final Four. Did the University of Miami lose? I thought the University of Miami was in the Elite Eight. Hey, Fabio G says, is this live? This is live. Sabrina Fair. Hey, Bernard Friedman says, I would like to be in your live. Good to see you. Joel K says, yes, Miami lost to Kansas in the Elite Eight. That sucks. That sucks. Sammy Basie says, hey, Tom, how are you tonight? I'm doing really good. Gregory says, Miami lost to Kansas. War Walker says, Tom, I was paying over $100 for Xfinity and watched only CNN and a couple channels. I discovered YouTube, which had more information and interesting streams from all over the world. Yeah, War Walker, you're right. And also, here's an interesting fact about CNN. And I don't mean to get political, but CNN's ratings are tanking. But that's a little bit misleading, and I'll tell you why it's a little bit misleading. Because CNN gets, I think, more viewership on its YouTube clips. So more people are consuming CNN content, just not on the traditional platform that they used to. If you go to CNN's YouTube page, a lot of their clips of the CNN broadcast is actually getting millions and millions of views. I think it's just a little bit of a redirection of how traditional consumers consume content. So the majority of people, and I'll do the same thing, I never sit in front of a TV and watch the news. I just go on YouTube and watch the clips. I'll watch clips from Fox News, I'll watch clips from CNN, and on and on and on. Hey, Roy S says, I like to watch the local news channels with all their ads. It's more diverse. Hey, Bruce Wayne says, it's because you can't stand for CNN more than a short clip. That's funny. That's funny, man. Hey, Eyeglass Lady is here. Good to see you, Eyeglass Lady. Says, we ditched cable a long time ago and turned to YouTube. And the content is from all around the world. Agreed. Sergio Danielle is here. Good to see you. Says, hello. Hey, William says, despite the crime, New York is still an amazing city. Tom, you do a great job of highlighting New York. Hey, thank you, William. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, William. If you guys are enjoying the Oscar stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Hey, Spencer says, I'm addicted to YouTube. Also, get news and everything you need from YouTube. Yeah, I've actually learned entire programming languages from watching YouTube. I think the number one thing, and I think we talked about this a little bit before on the streams, I think the most important skill to learn is how to become an autodidact, or get your autodidact skills up. And that's the ability to teach yourself anything, because if you have time, and I think everybody has some spare time, it doesn't necessarily have to be on YouTube, but you can pretty much teach yourself most things, right? Outside of being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Well, maybe if you're talking about software engineering, you could probably teach that to yourself. But you get the point. You could pretty much be self-taught based on the fact that the internet has so many free resources. And I think not just only the free resources, but the ability to connect with so many individuals that before the internet, you would have never been able to do that. You can get in a Twitter dispute with Elon Musk, and he's the richest guy in the world. Right? That was never possible only 5 or 10 years ago. But check out the Empire State Building here. Beautiful view. Tina Toomey is here. Good to see you. Welcome. M. Wall on the run. Says, I have arrived on Tom's red carpet. Good to see you, M. Wall. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Alan Wilson says, but the problem for CNN is that with the lower number of viewers on cable, they can't charge much for their ads. That is true. That's a good point, Alan. Paul P says, Tom, Roku is the way to go. Yeah, Roku has really been going out there and getting a lot of market share. You're right. Yeah, Eyeglass Lady says, Tom, we replaced my rear car brake lights today, all based upon a YouTube video. Yeah, I mean, imagine that. You could pretty much teach yourself how to do anything. You know, I was telling you guys, I had to do a ton of work to my house that I just bought about 4 months ago in Miami. And I had to build a whole new drain line in the front yard. And I dug up the entire drain line, laid the pipe, and did everything myself by watching a plumber's YouTube channel based out of North Dakota. So, pretty weird, right? So I did it all myself just by watching YouTube videos from just some random plumber in North Dakota, which is quite bizarre, but yet fascinating. Hey, Daryl is here. Says, Tom, I have Roku or Pluto TV. Good to see you, Daryl. Diana says, hey, Tom, how are you? I'm doing really good. I could be better if it was a little bit warmer. The one and only British Grey is here. Says, good Sunday evening. British Grey is joining us from the one and only Tampa, Florida. Good to see you, British Grey. Brad's Brain says, Roku is great, and YouTube. I repaired wood-rotted joist in a second floor. Wow, very cool. Somewhat Knowledgeable Geek says, I'm concerned about the day where the required subscription services get out of reach for many people. It's already getting worse. Samantha J is here, says, that's great, Tom. Charlie Richardson, good to see you. Laura M says, Tom, thank you for walking through my old neighborhood. Hey, Laura. This is a fantastic neighborhood, big fan of it. And it's actually getting more pricey. This neighborhood right here is getting very, very pricey. And there's actually a shortage of apartments in this neighborhood too. But thank you for joining the live stream. Charlie Richardson says, yes, the internet is very powerful. Good to see you, Charlie. Hope you had a good weekend. Hey, Khan says, TV as we know it has to be flattened. Too much misinformation and misinterpretation. YouTube helps in this regard. That's an interesting perspective. Very interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Good to see you, Khan. I see the swan here. Khan and the swan, welcome. Hey, Triple G. Good to see you, my friend. Sabrina Fair says, Warwalker, help. Mike, good to see you. Says, showing my wife your live feed so she is not worried when I need to return next month. Thank you, sir. Hey, Mike. Thank you for watching, Mike. I appreciate it. Mike C says, that's interesting. So much talk about YouTube, and then a spam bot appears posting YouTube logos. Man, it's getting cold out. Hey, fourth quarter. Says, I'm taking Miami temperature for granted. 35 degrees Fahrenheit in the Big Apple, I know. It was snowing out a little bit earlier in the stream. But just a quick recap for all of those of you who are just joining. So the 94th Academy Awards is airing right now, and viewers will see a parade of movies that actually never made it to movie theaters, obviously due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of those movies premiered on popular streaming services such as Netflix, Apple TV, and the like. But streaming service Netflix is actually nominated for 27 Oscars. So Netflix, the powerhouse in streaming, is nominated for 27 Oscars. That is more than any other studio, while Apple TV has 6 nominations and Amazon Studios has 4. And coming in the rear is Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, that made their debut similarly or simultaneously in theaters as well as streaming. But the only streaming service that is profitable right now is Netflix. All of the other ones are actually losing money. Hey, Santo is here. Good to see you. I'm going to show you guys a beautiful view of the Empire State Building right here in Koreatown. And despite a pandemic bump, shares of Netflix, ticker symbol NFLX, have gone sideways for the past 3 years. Over the past 12 months, the stock has not just underperformed the broader market, but also shares of the country's leading movie theater chains such as AMC and Cinemax Holdings have underperformed as well. Shares of Walt Disney, which run the number 2 streaming platform, Disney Plus, have fallen 27% this year. And I think Wall Street is really understanding that, look, it's going to reach an inflection point where you can't just continue to pay for subscribers. And what I mean by that is offering 30-day free trials where a lot of people continue to sign up, they watch whatever shows they want, and then they cancel the subscription, right? And that's where that churn ratio comes into play that we were talking about before. So when you're building your financial models, it's really important, especially when you're modeling like a Netflix or something and trying to identify its free cash that is going to generate over the next couple of years. It's not only important to take into consideration, hey, we need to understand how many subscribers are signing up each month, but what is the churn ratio? Hey, Khan, thank you for the $20 donation. I appreciate it so much. This is thoughts on oil tom drillers in the USA, especially in this lead up to World War III. Yeah, so we covered oil a lot in the Behind the Street newsletter. We saw oil pull back, or crude, ticker symbol CL, pull back from about 130 all the way down to its 50-day moving average. I think we can make a new high in crude oil. You know, there was an interesting report out of Blackstone and BlackRock. I think this was about 2 months ago that outlined a commodity super cycle. So they were not only talking about crude oil, they were talking about copper, platinum, palladium. So I think we could potentially see a secular bull market in a lot of commodities. I think probably the commodity that's probably, I guess, is most notable for taking off or ripping faces off is probably wheat, obviously due to the Russia-Ukraine situation. But I actually wrote an article about this. So if you type !news, NEWS, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to the Behind the Street newsletter. It's free. I send it out every Monday morning, or every Monday afternoon. But we'll have to keep our eye on it. I think there was a short-term opportunity to profit take on a lot of the energy trade. I think some of the energy names are getting a little bit long in the tooth. You know, I was reading an article in Barron's today about Oxy Petroleum, which is a big company that Warren Buffett is actually invested in. But I mean, if we're thinking about like a risk to reward ratio, right? You want to be able to set up your trades for asymmetric risk. So you want to make sure, okay, is the asymmetric risk to the upside or the downside? And if the trade is becoming neutral or negative, then you should probably start to take some profits. I'm not sure if I would want to go long oil outright at $100 in hopes to sell it maybe for $120. That's just my only concern. Hey, Fabio is here. Good to see you, Fabio. British Gray says, hey, everybody, I went for a ride tonight. I see 4 gas stations selling premium for $3.99 per gallon here in Tampa, Florida. You know, that actually seems like prices went down a little bit, actually. So I think we took a poll. A little bit earlier in the week. And California, specifically Los Angeles, had the highest gasoline prices. But this is Food Gallery 32 in Koreatown. This is actually one of my favorite places to eat at. Hey, Mike S is here. Says, hey, Tom. Sabrina Fair, good to see you. Ben says SPLK. That is the ticker symbol for Splunk. Fabio, good to see you. Mike C says, Tom, gonna want to break out the skateboard after seeing that guy ride. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to be on the skateboard relatively soon, because it should get warmer, but it's only like 30 degrees tonight. Hey, Cole is here. Welcome, Cole. Cole, how was the open house? I remember you saying you had an open house today. Trying to get a gauge on the housing market demand. So I would love to see how your open house went. So Cole is actually trying to sell his house in Staten Island, New York. And I believe the open house was today, so we can get a little bit of a gauge for demand. Hey, Al Baker is here. Scott is here. Scott, PhD. Good to see you, Scott. Hope you're well. Mike the Printer says Gallery 32 cooks food at the table. It's like a big dining hall. So I think there's multiple different restaurants in there. I think my favorite restaurant in there is Pelicana Chicken. I think we may have to add a little bit more moderators here. Hold on.
What we've all been waiting for.
We'll add Sabrina Fair. So Sabrina Fair, you are now our newest moderator on the stream. Wow, Cole says I'm hoping for an offer this week. Very cool. Congrats, Cole. All right, so now we are on 32nd Street and 5th Avenue, the corner of Koreatown. Hey, Marty Lewis is here. Says hello, Tom and everybody. Marty Lewis, are you watching the Oscars tonight? Hey, Randy the Machine says, Tom, I just listed one of my houses an hour ago. I'll let you know the demand here in Northwest Florida, Destin area. Yeah, Randy the Machine, that would be really helpful, because we've actually seen prices come down a little bit. And hopefully as we enter the spring selling season, hopefully prices will be able to come down. We'll actually head uptown. Hey, RJ is here. Says, hola, Tom from Colorado. Good to see you, RJ. Thanks for joining. Marty Lewis says, I'm not watching the Oscars. Got home a little while ago from swimming. It's so cold outside. Yeah, Marty Lewis, it was actually snowing today, which is kind of crazy. It's actually still snowing a teeny bit. It's like a flurry every couple seconds. But Marty Lewis, the topic for tonight's stream, we were talking a little bit about streaming services. Just trying to incorporate it in with the Oscar night that is going on. Hey, Mike S, good to see ya. NYC says Oscars are for Nancy boys. Good to see you, NYC FJB.
She said it was like one of the best days of her life. Yeah. She said, oh, I'm sorry.
NE, good to see you. Welcome.
It's like, I think I have to do like on my way. I said, how about this? We're gonna keep it.
Hey, Con, thank you once again. I appreciate it. Cole says, Tom, my agent said 30 families came to the open house, though. I'm assuming that's a lot. Yeah, I mean, 30. How long was the open house? I'm assuming it was like 2 or 3 hours. I mean, that's a lot. 30 families in one day. So it seems like the demand is still there. Because one of the negatives, or I think one of the biggest headwinds to the housing market, is the increase in interest rates. I think that 30-year fixed rate mortgage will probably go to 5%. I think it's already knocking on the door of 4.5. Cole says, Tom, lots of families from Brooklyn as well. Wow. So if you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. MD says, I want to see Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart at the Oscars. So if you look straight ahead, you could actually see the very top of the One Vanderbilt building. Hey, Design Ideas says, good evening, Tom, and hello from Providence, Rhode Island. Good to see you. Welcome. Ramsey says, hey, Tom, what's up, guys? Hello. Good to see you, Ramsey. James says, will market be up tomorrow? I'm not sure. So James, I actually forgot to check the futures. So if anybody wants to check the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract and let us know where futures are trading tonight, that would be a big help. But this week is going to be a big week on Wall Street. We have a ton of economic activity, so we will be covering that all week. We're going to be having some inflation data as well. Hey, Herbert Daughtry, thank you so much for the $5 donation. It says, hello, Tom. Very few people are watching the Oscars anymore. Haven't watched in years. You and AK are my live streamers of the year nominees. Hey, thank you. Herbert, I appreciate the kind words. And thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. So check out this beautiful view of the Empire State Building. I think this is one of my favorite spots to take a look at it. It's right on the corner of 34th Street and 5th Avenue. Hey, Elliot Wave Reviews says, hi, Tom. Who inspired you to start your channel and when did you launch? We launched right around, I think we did our first live stream in May. But originally I was going to do these financial live streams sitting behind a desk. But then I saw like channels like Action Kids streaming around New York City. So I'm like, you know what, why don't I either skateboard around New York City and talk about finance as opposed to sitting behind a desk and doing it, because, you know, I work in enterprise tech sales and I'm sitting behind a desk, you know, on conference calls all day. So I might as well try to get some miles in and talk about finance as we go. But I think we're coming up on a year. Somewhat Knowledgeable Geek says Dow futures down over 100, NASDAQ down 60. Eyeglass Lady says, I second the nomination for you and AK. Thank you, Eyeglass Lady. Appreciate it. I think this may be a very unique view of the Empire State Building. Hey, DJ number one. Say, DJ Dan in Sarasota, Florida. Have you heard when home prices are dipping? Need to buy. Good to see you, DJ number one. Jamie Massetti, I appreciate you. Hey, Lee says, Tom, your channel stats say you joined April 19th. Yeah, I think I may have created the channel April 19th, but I think we did our first live stream in May. I could be wrong, but it's I really do appreciate everybody that's been watching. Very, just unbelievable. I never expected that people would actually watch. So it's awesome to network with everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah, Mike the Printer, that is your avatar shot of the Empire State Building. But if you look straight ahead, you could actually see One Penn Plaza all lit up in the colors for Ukraine. GGMYC says, Tom, I'm glad I found your channel. Lots of valuable information. Appreciate it, GG. NE says, Tom, do you think it's too harsh to have the opinion that you should be making at least $100,000 a year just to consider moving to New York City? I think it may be a little harsh. Because, to be honest, it's all about it's really all about how like fiscally responsible you are, because you could live with roommates and you could pay $800 a month for rent, but if you want your own place, it's definitely gonna be more expensive. Hey, Mark Ashley says, great voice. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Miss Brown Eyes, thank you so much for the $4 donation. I appreciate it very, very much. You guys are too kind. Thank you. But now that we're on the topic of streaming services, there's been so cold I can't even talk. There's been this talk on Wall Street about the streaming wars. So many analysts, and I remember there was always this one guy from Deutsche Bank. I forget his name, but I would always read his analyst reports, and he said that the streaming is going to be such a disaster because the industry is going to cannibalize itself. And I think what he meant by that is, you're going to have your Netflix, you're going to have Hulu, you're going to have Fubo TV, you're going to have all of these streaming services, and consumers are only going to be able to choose one. Well, fast forward 5 years, if we actually look at the data, and this actually just came out of Goldman Sachs, it says on average, Americans subscribe to 4.5 streaming services. So the average American is not only subscribed to Netflix, they're subscribed to Apple Plus, Apple TV, you get the picture. So the average American is subscribed to 4.5 streaming services, and they're spending an average of $55 a month on these streaming subscriptions. But here's the kicker. The typical cable package is costing Americans $98 a month, according to the Wall Street Journal. So by cutting your cable and kicking your cable company to the curb, that'll not only allow you to save money, but it will allow you to expand your horizons of the content you're willing to watch for a cheaper price. So I thought that was really interesting. So the new narrative on Wall Street, and I think Goldman Sachs is probably the only investment bank that nailed this to the wall, that it's not a winner's take all game. There can be multiple players in the environment, but right now Netflix is the only streaming service that is profitable. So here we are, everybody. We are at the Macy's Flower Show. Looks great, looks beautiful here. Mike says the average being 4.5 means that some people have over 10. Yeah, some people probably have all of them, to be honest. Hey, Dwart55, thank you so much for the 5 Canadian. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for the support, Dwart55. And I hope you're having a good Sunday. Peter Webley says the services are cheaper than I originally thought. This is Peter. It's Liam says I just hop from subscription to subscription and have no cable. So I think Liam's comment is very important, and we were talking about this about 30 minutes ago, but what Liam said is very important, especially if you're an equity research analyst on Wall Street covering one of the streaming stocks, right? Because what are we talking about now? We're talking about churn. So when you're building your discounted cash flow models to see how much the value of these companies' cash flows are going to be worth in the future, the number one piece of information, especially with streaming services or any SaaS business, is the churn rate. So if you have everybody that's just signing up to one streaming service and then canceling, that's not a sustainable business model. So I think the streaming service that's going to generate the most cash, in which case the stock will perform the best, is the company that will have consistently very, very high retention rates. So let's say, for example, Netflix, is averaging 10 subscribers a month. If only 2 of those subscribers churn, that's going to be a very, very high retention rate. So very, very interesting. Because to Liam's point, a lot of people just will sign up for Netflix, and then once the season of their favorite show is over, there's no reason to keep paying for that subscription, so they cancel it. Hey, Elliott Wave Review is here. Says, Tom, how long did it take you to reach 1,000 subscribers? Did you use any marketing strategies like social media or paid ads? No, we didn't. Honestly, I don't really work on this channel a lot. I guess you could consider doing these streams as a lot of work, but I really just, power up the phone after work and just walk around and talk. I really don't do any SEO, which is search engine optimization. A lot of people tell me I should do that stuff, but honestly, it's just been streaming, and whoever wants to join, they subscribe if they like to join in on the conversation, if they want to see New York City or Miami. That's sort of how I've grown it. But I think it took maybe like a half a year to hit 1,000, and then from there it sort of compounded a little bit. But I'll give you guys one more view of the empire. Hey, Brad's Brain says, I cut $190 a month when I went to Roku. Insane the amount of money I was wasting. Yeah, you're 100% right. So to Brad's Brain's point, if he was spending $190 a month, he could sign up for 5 streaming services, right? And still be paying less than his $190 a month. Crazy. Roy S says, Tom, I also have several streaming subscriptions, but never really maximize it. Still watch cable just to make sure I'm not dictated by the algorithm. That's a good point. That's a good point, Roy. Hey, Tom Deering says, hey, Tom, I'm writing this slow so you can read. Hope you're having a good night. Thank you so much. Hey, Mike the Printer says, I subscribed tonight. You're doing a great service. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you being here. Eric Coffin says, WSP or bust. Good to see you, Mike. Or good to see you, Eric. So we are outside Macy's, where they are conducting the Macy's Flower Show here. And I really wish we were able to take a walk inside Macy's, but unfortunately it is closed. Hey, Leo, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I appreciate it. You're very, very kind, Leo. Appreciate it very much. WC says, Tom, I think you are up 3 to 4K over the last 3 to 4 weeks. Very interesting. Well, I appreciate it, everybody. I really do. Very, very grateful. Check out the colors here. I think they did a great job. I think they did a great job this year. Hey, Khan says, get Rabbit TV. They have over 500 channels. Is that one of those, I guess you could download like it on your Amazon Fire Stick, perhaps? Hey, Rick says, on a night like this, you ought to be back in Miami, I know. But Leo, thank you for the support. Much appreciated, Leo. Ramsey says, the flowers look amazing. I agree. Adam S. says, hey, Tom, can you check out the Grand Plaza Hotel when you get a chance? We can. We definitely will. I'll put that on the list. Hey, Sam Miguel is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, Sam Miguel. Hope you're well. So we'll continue to walk to Midtown. But here's another thing. Knowing that companies like Disney and Netflix and Apple, they're trying to win so many subscribers. So I think the goal is to win all of these subscribers, but now make them sticky so they don't want to churn. So according to Goldman Sachs, I believe streaming services are going to spend a combined $130 billion on content in 2022. That is going to be up 10% from last year. And if you look directly in front of you, you're going to see the beautiful One Vanderbilt building, which is one of my favorites. And then over here, you will see the Empire State Building. Yeah, photos from around New York. Empire State Building equals signpost equals know where you are. So hopefully we'll be able to make it all the way up to Radio City Music Hall tonight. Hey, Bianca M is here. Israel says hello, greetings from Cuba, good to see you. Vane Chung is here, good to see you, Vane. Santos is great view, good to see you, Santo. Ruby Falcone, hope you had a good weekend. NPC 007 is here, says there's so much social justice stuff on Netflix. Good to see you, 007. Paul Tricky says, Tom, you are missing out on a pretty good Miami Open. So Paul, how long is that lasting, the Miami Open? Ruby Falcone says, oh my gosh, I am blue. Indeed. So you know it's cold in New York when you have these crazy spouts here with the steam pouring out. Hey, WW says, hey Tom, big developments in my life. Just wanted to say that out loud. Awesome. Well, I wouldn't expect anything less from you, WW. So continue to keep killing it. Rick says, Tom, your Miami streams were very interesting. Cool neighborhoods to see. Hey, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. We'll be back in Miami soon. We will be back soon. Cool weather farmers here. Good to see ya. Mika says Netflix now has fast laughs, more interactive games, and a surprise me function random stream. I feel to make more sticky like other platforms that are addictive. Interesting. Elliot Wave Reviews says, Tom, what do you think the occupancy rate of all those office buildings are? What percent of people are back in the office? So I think it's a surprisingly low amount. And that's one of the biggest issues that Mayor Eric Adams is trying to address. And he's saying, look, if New York wants to make a full recovery, and what he means by that, he's like, look, the 1%ers and the top 10% of New Yorkers are already back 100%. They really haven't taken any economic blow. And one of the reasons for that is because if you work in investment banking, or you work in tech, or healthcare, well, maybe not healthcare, but essentially a lot of the jobs that can be done remotely tend to be the high-paying jobs, right? And more of the middle-class or lower-class jobs, you kind of have to be in person for them, unfortunately. So I think that when you have workers that are not coming to the office, how is that impacting local restaurants, local diners? Look, this one just closed right here. Speaking of one, you know, there was a statistic in Barron's today that I just couldn't believe that stated ever since the pandemic, over 8,000 diners have closed forever. So since the pandemic, 8,000 diners have closed across the United States. Hey, Patrick, New York City, what's up, man? Patrick, good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Mike Lewis, CNN plus Stars Tuesday. First cable news to stream. This is Mike Lewis. Thank you for that, Mike Lewis. All right, we got the light. We could cross. Yeah, I couldn't believe the statistic when I read it either, but 8,000, according to Barron's, 8,000 diners did close due to the pandemic. You know, Alan Wilson, I love when Alan Wilson is in the chat, because I think me and Alan Wilson are on the same exact wavelength, if that makes sense. So Alan Wilson says, Tom, did you see Cash Jordan's video today? I did see that, and I was just about to mention that. So Alan, thank you, because I think it ties in perfectly to what we were talking about. about the sort of high unemployment within the 5 boroughs in New York City. But, I've been writing about this a lot. So for those of you who are reading the Behind the Street newsletter, I talk about the exacerbation of the two-tier society that I think we're going down. Because if you think about central banking, easy monetary policy and the like, that is helping perpetuate a two-tier society where money flows and fund flows go to the top 10% of Americans and wipes out the middle and the lower class. And the reason why I think this is because if you think about capital creation in America, who are the people that are able to create capital? The people who already have it and have the qualifications to borrow money at low interest rates, right? So something that we've been seeing now in the real estate market is large institutional investors, such as real estate investment trusts, private equity, venture capital. They've actually been able, due to their good credit standing, they've been able to borrow billions and billions of dollars at extremely low interest rates to acquire single-family homes, multi-family homes, in which case they in turn rent them out to would-be home buyers. And I think this is due to the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates at artificially low levels. Also, whenever you print money, and the Federal Reserve does that by buying mortgage-backed securities and U.S. Treasuries, that also inflates asset prices. So it inflates property values, it inflates equity values. And if we look at the data, the top 1% of Americans own the majority of the equities. The top 1% of Americans own the majority of the real estate. So the money printing doesn't do anything to help the lower and the middle class. All it does is it perpetuates that wealth divide. And I think you're seeing it in cities like New York. I think you're seeing it in cities like Miami. So it's a good question. I think it was a good comment that you made. Yo, Triple G is here and I see Great Walk. Good to see a Triple G and Great Walk. So now we are on West 40th Street. We are headed towards Times Square, but I think we're going to make a pit stop to Bryant Park first. Hey, AG, my good friend from India. This is Hey Tom. Good to see you from India. It's good to see you too. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Bill. This is Hey Tom. You always stream in the afternoons? Any particular reason for that? Yeah, because I'm working during the day, so it's very hard for me to stream during work hours. So I tend to conclude my workday at around 7 o'clock or 7:30, and then I will stream and sort of relax. Hey, Great Walks is here in Argentina. It's starting to get cold. Hate this winter, I know. It was snowing today here in New York too. AG says, I'm an addict to your show, Tom. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Mike C says, Tom, what conditions do you think would persuade people hoarding cash to invest? What conditions? I don't know. Because here's the thing. If we look at a lot of these companies in the Russell 2000, let's just take the Russell 2000 for example. A lot of these companies are what's called zombie companies. And the reason why they're called zombie companies is because these companies are allowed to exist because they borrow money at extremely low interest rates and use that borrowed money to pay off the interest on their debt. But as interest rates creep up, it's going to be harder and harder for a lot of those smaller cap companies that are not profitable to stay in business. So when you're talking about what would cause an investor to deploy capital, I think they're very reluctant to do that in an environment where interest rates are rising, because a lot of companies, like a lot of these high beta growth stocks, they're really the only reason why they're able to exist is because interest rates are so low. And that's why I think you're seeing, why do you think Apple has a multi-trillion-dollar market cap? Apple is sort of like the safe haven. If when we had this big risk-off trade before, when a lot of the SaaS or software as a service stocks got hammered, where did all the money flow? It flowed to the big five in the S&P 500, like, Apple, like Alphabet. These are the only companies that are really generating any earnings. So whenever you have an environment where interest rates are rising, those companies that have little to no earnings become very risky. And thus, they get sold off first. So I think maybe once we have a big washout of those names, I think, because capital is only going to be deployed into a business model that's going to generate additional cash. And I think that sort of this economic model has been distorted because of the artificially low interest rates, if that makes sense. Hey, my best friend, Sunshine After Rain. Good to see you, Sunshine. Always good to see you. Hope you had a good Sunday. Wow, check out these flowers at Bryant Park. Yeah, I see Carlos Cruz. Hey, Carlos. Good to see you, Carlos Cruz. Sunshine After Rain. Fresh Start, the one and only Cindy Foley. Good to see you. Lewis is here. What's up, Lewis? Lewis says, hey, Tom, do you believe in those formulas of working for your business 2 hours a day and you will succeed, although you work 8 hours a day as an employee? I think it takes a lot more than 2 hours a day. I mean, at least in my business, it definitely takes more than 2 hours of work a day. Sometimes I spend 2 hours a day with just one client a day. But I do see the premise of the gist overall, what you're talking about. Hey, Rick is here. Says, Tom, if you needed to use a restroom on your walks, is there one available? Yes. So I would probably go to the Moynihan train station or Grand Central Station. So here we are at Bryant Park, and check out this view of the One Vanderbilt building. Very beautiful. Hey, T says, I miss your old name. What's up, T? Kings is here. John Garcia says, where in New York is this located? This is Bryant Park and 42nd Street. Israel is here. Good to see you, Israel. John Garcia. T, thank you for joining. The King of Zim. Thank you for being here. I think I see Michael Cohen says, how do you generate ideas for trading/investment? Is it solely on price and trend? No, I'm mainly a fundamentalist, right? So I think idea generation is the number one most important thing when it comes to investing. And I really try to take a Peter Lynch approach. And for those of you who don't know, Peter Lynch was one of the most successful mutual fund managers on Wall Street. He used to manage the Fidelity Magellan Fund back in the day. And I try to look for secular trends in an expanding total addressable market. So, for example, I sell technology and software. So I really see an opportunity, or have seen an opportunity, in not only semiconductors, but cybersecurity as well. So if you take a top-down approach, so look at it from a macro perspective, try to identify things in the economy and say, okay, which sectors are going to have a secular tailwind for growth, as opposed to what industries within the economy today are in structural decline, right? And if you could identify those two trends, okay, what is in structural decline, and then what is in an expanding total addressable market, then you whittle down into individual stock names. So if you could say, okay, print advertising, right? So newspapers are in structural decline. Everybody reads things online. You get the picture. So I'm probably not going to invest into a company that prints newspapers, right? Just as a funny example. But cybersecurity every single company is going to need a cybersecurity solution. So based upon that fact, you probably want to get long some cybersecurity exposure, right? So then that's when you whittle down into the individual stock names. So you want to say which company in the cybersecurity space is the most profitable, if they're on a subscription basis, which one has the lowest churn ratio, and which company has the most penetration into the enterprise space, which is like a Fortune 500 or a Fortune 50 space. And that's sort of how I take my investment approach. Mike S., what's up? Good to see you, Mike S. Here, let me give you guys one more shot of the one Vanderbilt. Hey, the King of Zim, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Luo says, I like bank stocks. Yeah, financials are set to do very well. You know what? Ruby Falcone says, I've been to the Bryant Park Banyo, the bathroom, and it was super clean. Yeah, supposedly it's about a $50,000 bathroom. The bathroom at Bryant Park is about $50,000. Crazy to think about. Hey, Jason X is here. Good to see you, Jason. He says, what's up? How often do you do these live streams? So we stream about 5 days a week. And we stream between New York City and Miami. So we would love for you to join us. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, click the subscribe button if you're enjoying the stream. Hey, Tom Deering, good to see you, my friend. Says, Tom, I like to see New York City on the computer, but I would hate to be there with all the traffic. Well, I'm glad you could see it through the lens of the stream. Sabrina Fair says, Tom, what do you think about the Okta attack or the hack? I think it's very concerning. And I think it may be a lot worse than they're saying. Hey, Elaine says, loving it, always impeccable video quality. So it's unfortunate that Bryant Park is closed tonight. I wanted to take a quick walk around. But I guess I could try to show you guys from the top here. Hey, John says, just joining in. Good to see you. Willix says, Barbados in the house. Good to see everybody from Barbados. Love Barbados. So speaking of financial stocks, here we have the Bank of America Tower directly in front of us. It's one of my favorite buildings in New York City. Sabrina Fair says, Okta is an IT identity firm. Yeah, so Okta specializes in a form of cybersecurity that is called Identity and Access Management, or IAM. And so one of Okta's main competitors is a company that was actually brought public by Vista Equity Partners, which is a very, very notable private equity firm. And it is called Ping Identity. So P-I-N-G Identity. But if you guys want to read, again, the weekly newsletter that I write, it is called Behind the Street. And you can scan this QR code on the screen. If you scan the QR code, you will receive a link to the newsletter. Hey, John is back in the stream. Says, hey, Tom, good to see you. What's up, John? Well, let's continue on our walk. I really want to try to get to Radio City, because every time we get up to Radio City, the phone dies, and I want to take a walk around Rockefeller Center. But we are standing outside the State University of New York, SUNY College of Optometry. Funny Money 2K says, is it cold there? It's freezing here. It was actually snowing not too long ago, which is unfortunate. So we'll try to cross here at the light. So on last night's stream, we were talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So a lot of these Amazon Go stores, I think, are going to cause a lot of disruption. And I think as we continue down into 2025, a lot of other grocery stores and convenience stores are going to go the way of Amazon Go, where essentially you walk in, there's no cashier, there's actually no employees, there may be one security guard. You literally walk in, you grab your stuff, and you walk out. And I think this is going to cause amazing, well, maybe amazing is not the word, but massive job displacement. Hey, Great Walk says, I've missed your live streams a lot. Finally have some days off. Well, thank you for being here, Great Walk. I appreciate it. Triple G says, if people are watching on their phone, can they scan the QR code? So it's weird. I was actually looking at my YouTube analytics, and the vast majority of people actually do not watch on a phone. The vast majority of people watch on their TV, which I was quite surprised about. But I guess we'll take a quick poll in the chat. How are you guys watching the stream? Are you watching on a phone or a TV? Because according to YouTube, a lot of you watch on a TV. PC. Okay, very cool. Laptop. Yeah, a lot of people are saying laptop. Laptop, phone, TV. Diana says TV. NMB045 says phone. Roy S says TV, iPad, and phone sometimes at the same time. Wow, very cool. Karina Thompson says laptop. Gregory says watching on a PC. Awesome. Love that. Audio through the phone, Bluetooth headphones, says Gregory. Hey, Webley says, you are on my second PC monitor as I work. /play. Very cool. Wow. Argentina says TV in my living room. That's so cool. Stephanie Ledoux says watch on my TV. San Miguel says 24-inch Samsung Curve monitor. Very cool. It must look awesome. Hey, Felix is here. Says, hey, Tom, what's up? I'm watching on my phone. Good to see you, Felix, as always. Hey, Jim Martin is here. Says, I'm watching on a tablet from Ontario or Toronto, Canada. Very cool. Love Canada. Toronto, Ontario. Love it. Vincent C says, Tom, I'm watching on my 55-inch TV from Singapore. Wow, we have an international audience. That is awesome. Crizzy says laptop because I'm working. Watching from the Philippines. Love the Philippines. Pineapple Water says can't message without laptop or phone because I watch on my TV. Well, thank you for watching. A lot of people say Apple TV, which is the topic of tonight's stream. Duartz is watching on my iPhone 13 Pro. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Ray Legends is watching on my iPad Mini 6. Very cool. Hey, Scott's is 27-inch Dell monitor. Awesome, Scott. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. So here's an interesting fact that came out of the Barron's article. It says it's no coincidence that cable penetration in the United States peaked in the early 2010s at around 100 million subscribers, just as Netflix introduced its first original TV series, The House of Cards. Since then, cord cutting has picked up steam. Pay TV subscriptions fell by more than 5% last year. Today, fewer than 70 million US households pay for a bundled TV subscription, like cable and satellite. So it's interesting to see that cable TV peaked right as Netflix came out with their first hit TV series, House of Cards. Does anybody watch House of Cards or has watched House of Cards? I'm seeing a lot of viewers from Guatemala. Thank you so much for watching from Guatemala. Scott Wilder says, Tom, I love your streams. Great combination of walking fun, interesting New York City, and Wall Street conversation. Well, thank you, Scott. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Pacific Desert Raids has never heard of House of Cards. Willick says, I'm watching on my NVIDIA Shield. Hey, Western Mass Dave says, hey Tom, hi all. So Dave is a big film junkie. So Dave, how was the Oscars? You know, Dave, the topic of tonight's stream was streaming services, because supposedly Netflix was nominated for 26 Oscars, which is really wild to see how the evolution of film and media has transitioned from traditional sources to streaming. Alan Wilson says, Tom, I've never watched it because I don't have Netflix. Yeah, Alan, I don't think I've ever watched House of Cards either. WW says, Tom, we paid for cable TV. It's good to see tourists are back. WC says, Tom, we paid for cable TV for 50 years, cut the cord 2 years ago, and don't miss it. Love that. Well, yeah, according to the data out of Goldman Sachs, you're 100% right. A lot of people are cutting the cord. So cable penetration in the United States peaked in the early 2010s at around 100 million subscribers, and now it has fallen to about 70 million subscribers, and I think it's going to keep falling every year. But this is my old office. I used to work right here, 1166 Marsh McLennan, in this building, right here in Midtown Manhattan. Hey, my friend Marty Lewis says, Tom, House of Cards was at times difficult to watch because the main character was so coldly violent. Wow. So Marty Lewis, you know, I was talking about a great film that I first discovered in one of my film and media classes in college. And I believe it was called Glenn Ross. I could be saying that wrong. But I was talking about the most notable scene, obviously the Alec Baldwin scene, the always be closing, the AIDA, ABC, always be closing. Great scene. But also the Al Pacino scene too, where I think it was Kevin Spacey was playing the manager that totally blew the deal. And then Al Pacino totally rips the guy, rips his head off. Great scene. Fantastic. Ah, you're right. So Glengarry Ross, that's what it's called. That was probably my favorite movie of all time. I think that's my favorite movie of all time. Yeah, Western Mass Dave says, yes, great film. I really appreciate the acting in that film. Willick says, nice movie. I am in sales. Yeah, I'm in sales too. So great movie. Love it. Bruce Wayne. Oh my God. Great comment. Jeez. Oh God. Felix says, I don't know if I'm watching MTV Awards or the Oscars. Very different ceremony tonight. Hey, we have the one and only Razzle Dazzle is here. Says, I've been binge watching The Dropout on Hulu. True story of a former CEO of a blood testing company. She's currently on trial for 9 counts of investor fraud. Yes, you're right. You know, and so she was on Jim Cramer's show, Mad Money. And Cramer was like, is it safe to say we could probably call you the next Steve Jobs? And then it turns out her company is a total fraud. Talk about bizarre. Talk about just a bizarre thing. Scott Wilder says it was actually called Glenn Ross. Great movie. Man, it's starting to snow again. Yeah, but I think Alec Baldwin just killed that role. He's like, these are the Glengarry leads, and you don't get them. Because giving them to you would be throwing them away. They're for closers only. Hey, James, his futures are down 93 and 53 points, Dow and NASDAQ respectively. Thank you for that. Yeah, Cynthia Beale says that woman is a sociopath. They are great actors and con artists. Yeah, Jesse says coffee's for closers only. Yeah, Boiler Room was also a great movie too. Hey, Herbert Daughtry has killed that role. He's done it twice. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it so much. So if you guys look very closely, it's actually snowing here in New York. Lee says, Tom, be alert when approaching armored trucks. Copy that, 10-4. Thank you, Lee. Hope you're having a good Sunday, Lee. Yeah, Coffee Spills says Margin Call is also another good movie. Easy Andy says Taxi Driver. You know, I've never seen Taxi Driver before. Yeah, Jesse's like, put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. I love that movie, man. I really, really love that movie. Herbert, I did get the joke. I did get the joke, but I'm trying to contain myself. Wow, well, it's looking like the snow is coming down. Hey, Weston Maz Davis is Tom, Taxi Driver is my top 10. Yeah, Ruby Falcone, this almost reminds me of our old holiday live streams here too. Yeah, Scott Wilder says, Tom, the Big Short was also another great film. That was all about the 2008 financial crisis with the housing crisis. Yeah, Andre says spring is still chilly in New York. Yeah, we're supposed to get this very bizarre cold front coming through, unfortunately. Well, look at this store. This is a very unique place. As you can see, I'm quite bundled up here. Hey, we have our friend the Mighty Bull here. Good to see you, Mighty Bull. Always good to see you. Hey, my friend Carlton Saves is here. Love the profile picture, Carlton. Says, Tom, grab a drink. I enjoy your unique takes. Great scenic walks with a nice blend of tourist info and financial takes. Very cool, and thank you. Hey, Carlton, thank you for the kind words, and thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated. And I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great week. You know what, let's continue to walk up here. And the only reason why I say that is because I want to check out 57th Street, Billionaires Row. Because very seldom do we get to go up here anymore, because my phone always seems to die right as we're about to reach our destination. Well, I think this is a great shot. Check out all these American flags here flying in the wind. But if you guys want to connect with us on Twitter, you could follow at Walks Wall Street, where I also post some more of my financial takes and things like that. So you could follow at Walks Wall Street. And if you go in the link in the description, you could also follow us on IG and join our Discord, where we talk about networking, how to get a job in investment banking or technology. It's a great collaborative space where we could share ideas. So feel free to join our Discord. So speaking of finance, my friend actually just took a job here at Nürburger Berman. Coming up right here. And the funny thing is my friend's last name is actually Berman. And he is now working at Nürburger Berman, which is a great firm on Wall Street. With a very unique lobby too. So the lobby is all marble and it extends all the way back. And then we also have UBS. But there's also a Japanese investment bank called Mizuho, which is right next door. And their sales and trading headquarters is right there as we pass the Charles Schwab building, which is where I have the majority of my assets, over here at good old Charles Schwab. If you want to read a really good book, pick up Charles Schwab's book. Very good book. Talks about how he built the company. Fantastic book. You could learn a lot. But now we are at the Hilton Hotel, the very famous one. But we're actually looking at the very notable building on Billionaires Row called the Steinway Building. Con I am says, but this is not Wall Street. Yeah, you're right. So that's a good point. So after 9/11, a lot of major investment banks and hedge funds actually moved away from Wall Street. And not even just after 9/11, but ever since quantitative trading and high frequency trading came about, there's really no reason for a lot of the financial firms to actually be down on Wall Street. So a lot of them actually migrated to Park Avenue and to Midtown. Because if you remember correctly, back in the day, people used to trade stock on physical paper. And that's why all the broker-dealers on Wall Street had to be so close to one another. But everything is now all electronic. So the vast majority of Wall Street investment banks are actually not on Wall Street. I think the only investment bank that is still on the physical street of Wall Street is Deutsche Bank. But besides that, a lot of them have migrated to Times Square, Park Avenue, things like that. Hey Cosmo, thank you for joining. Appreciate it, Cosmo. Good to see you. Sunshine after rain, good to see you. G Hope. So this is a very famous hotel here in New York City. It's called the Warwick. Marvin Lopez is here. Hey Marvin, good to see you. Hey Andre says, good to see the Steinway building. I'll give you another look at it here. No way. Carol Reevy says, I can't believe what I just saw on the Oscars. Will Smith docked Chris Rock in the jaw about a joke he made about his wife. Is that true? Crazy. Hey, Cindy Foley, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Triple G says, does anybody in the chat have physical stock certificates? Just curious. So I actually do. And I really, really appreciate, I'm not going to say his name out of confidentiality, but we do have a viewer that was so kind that actually sent me some original stock certificates from the 50s. So I believe you know who you are, so thank you for being so kind, so generous. And they actually also sent me some very antique original Wall Street finance books, which I very happily added to my library. So thank you so much, appreciate it. So now we are actually passing Alliance Bernstein, which is another big firm on Wall Street. Right in front of us with the very unique globe here. Yeah, Sunshine After Rain says, wow, how nice. Yeah, Sunshine, I was very, very happy when I received it. So they were so kind enough to actually send me some very old and antique Wall Street finance books, which I tend to collect, and original stock certificates. So very much appreciate it. Everybody who's been supporting the channel, really, really appreciate it. And hopefully you're enjoying the content. Hey, Laytha, what's up? Good to see us. It's hello, Tom, everybody in the chat. How nice of the subscriber to send you all that stuff. Good to see you, Laytha. Hope you're well. All right, so this is my old neck of the woods for all of those who've been subscribed to the stream for a long time. You remember we used to always stream around here. These are my old stomping grounds. But just to quickly touch on Netflix one more time, it says on average Wall Street analysts are forecasting almost $900 million in free cash flow for the company this year, scaling into the billions in the coming years. Netflix began buying back stock also and should continue to do so, and announce even additional share buybacks at upcoming analyst days as well as earnings conference calls. So that's a significant amount, right? And I think that's the goal for a lot of these other streaming services, is to build up to the subscriber base that Netflix does in hopes to generate a lot of free cash. Because if the vast majority of analysts on Wall Street are forecasting $900 million in free cash flow for Netflix with billions down the road, that is sort of why at the beginning of the stream I said Netflix could potentially be about 50% discounted right now, which implies significant upside for the stock over the next coming years. All right, so we are now on Billionaires Row. So if you look straight ahead of you, you could see the 157 building, which is actually where Bill Ackman has a massive penthouse himself. And then right behind there is the Central Park Tower, which is another beautiful building here on Billionaires Row. And then last but not least, the Steinway building right here. Alfred says, do you still like Zoom information or info? Yes. I use that piece of software almost every day at work. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic piece of software that helps salespeople. So the CEO of Zoom Info is Henry Schuck, the very brilliant guy in software. But the company actually used to be called Discovery.org or Discovery.
The White House shuts down operations, so I can fly airports. Another story I can't hear.
Jay, good to see you. Triple G. Lay, this is Tom. I hear sniffling. Yeah, it's because it's very cold. So I'm healthy and good, but it's just really cold out tonight. Layla, I think it's about maybe 28 degrees outside here in New York, which is very uncharacteristic of the time of year. But this is the Directors Guild Theater. The DGA. Samantha R. says, Tom, are you going to Columbus Circle? We should probably make our way over there. But I'll give you guys another shot of Billionaires Row. Check out this view. I think you guys are going to like it. Hit the like button if you like these two buildings here. This one being Central Park Tower. And then the one to your right is 157. Really, really great. So we are walking on Billionaires Row, 57th Street. And during the pandemic, I got so lucky. I was so blessed to be able to live in this neighborhood when the rents were cut in half. So I was able to get a studio apartment for 50% off right at Central Park South. But then obviously the rents got raised. And the same building, the same unit I was renting is now going for $4,500 a month. And it was a studio apartment and it's going for $4,500 a month. Crazy. And I got it for half off. Actually more than half off. But this building right here, everybody, with the gold top, is actually called 220 Central Park South. And I think the reason why it's such a notable building is because the top 3 floors are occupied by a billionaire on Wall Street called Ken Griffin. And Ken Griffin is the CEO and founder of Citadel Securities, which is one of the biggest and best quantitative trading firms on Wall Street. And he's very, very notable for the GameStop debacle and the AMC debacle that happened. So Ken Griffin of Citadel lives at the very top of 220 Central Park South. Hey, the investigators here says, Walks on Wall Street. Hello, my friend. What is the best time to visit Central Park? I'd say probably right around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're always going to see a lot of people hanging out in the park at 1 o'clock. Hey, WW says, Tom, my dad worked at Citadel for 10 years. Wow, that's awesome. What did he do there, WW, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, Ruby Falcone says, you were very blessed to find that deal. I know. I'll never get that deal again. Well, it was nice to have it for at least a year of my life. Yeah, WW says, Tom, I got rent in Brooklyn for like $750 during the pandemic. So here we have Carnegie Hall, which is a very, very notable spot. It is under construction. So hence all the scaffolding. But Carnegie Hall is going through a big... Photos from around New York says, Tom, how much was the apartment? I paid just under $2,000 to live at Central Park South, if you can believe that. And my apartment actually had a view of Central Park. WW says, Tom, he worked in their software apartment. I'm not exactly sure doing what. I don't think he was with the traders though. So maybe he was like a quantitative. Interesting. But WW, I would be interested to see if you show your dad the Behind the Street newsletter. I'd love to know his thoughts on it. I'd love to know what he thinks about it, if he thinks it's good or not. Yeah, Cole says that's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. It was. And my landlord was so happy I was moving out. And the only reason why I moved out is because I found a property to buy in Miami. If I didn't find that property to buy, I'd still be there. But my landlord was definitely very happy that I moved out. Oh wow, so Central Park Tower is all lit up for the Ukraine colors. Very cool. Hey, Pond Viewer 12. Good to see a Pond Viewer 12. Says, Tom, Ken Griffin is one of the current bidders for Chelsea FC in London following the forced sale due to the sanctions against the Russian oligarch. I did hear about that. Crazy. Really, really crazy. Yeah, Ruby Falcone, you're right. You're so right. I always like looking at this thing here. This is one of the art dealers here in New York. Beautiful. Somebody says, isn't Ben Bernanke chairman of the board at Citadel? I'm not too sure, actually. I actually don't know. I'll have to look that up. But Ben Bernanke was the former Fed chair. Wow, everybody check this out. So this is the Nordstrom building. And this is the view of Central Park Tower. Hey, Phoenix says, hey, Walks in Wall Street. New to your channel. Sent over by the investigator. Love your walks. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you to the investigator as well. Hopefully you're enjoying. Hey, Javier says, can you say Alexander? Kev says, Will's smoking that Chris Rock pack right now. Cynthia Beal, good to see you. Javier, good to see you. Mike S. All right, so now we are on Broadway on the corner of Billionaires Row. So here's the last look at 157. And 157 is another building on Billionaires Row that is occupied by the one and only I'm blanking on his name. Bill Ackman. There we go. Hey, Marilyn is here. Good to see you, Marilyn. Appreciate it very much. But if you guys want to read a financial newsletter that is written by myself, if you scan the QR code on your screen, it'll take you to a link where you could sign up for the Behind the Street newsletter, which is a financial newsletter that I write every Monday afternoon, where I talk about not only individual equities, but also cover emerging markets as well. And I think we almost have 750 people or 750 readers. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we are going to start to do interviews of notable hedge fund managers, notable CPAs for tax strategy on the Behind the Street newsletter. So watch out for that and sign up if you'd like. So one of the things I like about Broadway are these huge bike lanes that they made. Check them out. These are brand new, probably only about a year old since they were fully complete. WW's is putting work into the newsletter profitable. Well, I think my main goal with the newsletter is I want to try to become a better writer. Oh, we got a trash tornado here in New York City. Look at all the trash flying around. That's how windy it is. But yes, it's profitable, but I think longer term, I want to try to, or continue to do consulting work with different hedge funds, more specifically growth funds or growth stock funds on Wall Street.
Not even a part of life.
Wow, Cole says the wind chill in New York is 23 degrees. Crazy. It feels like it. This guy doesn't have any lights on, which is good. Okay, so now we're going to walk down Broadway, but we're actually going to pass a very interesting piece of, I guess I would say, music history here. So this building to the left actually used to be P. Diddy's office for Bad Boy Entertainment or Bad Boy Worldwide. And you could already see, or still see, the sign. Very old. But ever since Bad Boy Entertainment left this building, it has always been abandoned. Which is kind of crazy. But it has always been abandoned. And it seems like it's prime real estate, but this has been abandoned for years. Everything blacked out. No tenants. All graffiti, broken glass, which is very uncharacteristic for the neighborhood. Cynthia Beals is who owns it. I'm not sure, but the whole building is totally blown out. And it's right here, very close to Billionaires Row 2. Christopher says that Will Smith's slap was no joke. Did Will Smith actually assault somebody on the street on the Grammys or whatever? So look at how windy it is, everybody. It is so windy that the garbage is blowing all around. Crazy. So this is where they do the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Kurt Flirt says, yeah, he punched Chris Rock after he made a joke about her. No way, wow. Carlton Saves says, yes, Chris Rock made a joke about Will's wife. Wow. Oh, everybody, it's like a full out, it's snowing right now. Check it out. So I'll try to point the camera to the light. Can you guys see the snow? Tell me in the comments if you could see it. It's very light, but you should be able to see it within the lights. I can't believe it's almost April and it's still snowing. Okay, so we're headed southbound here. Marty Lewis says, I just checked online and it's 33 degrees but feels like 24. Yeah, this is like January, February weather. Very uncharacteristic. GGMYC says, weather is so predictable these days. Agreed. Hey, Jack Sweeney TV, good to see you, my friend. Chris West. No way, wow. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Oh, yeah.
So here we have more retail for lease here. Yeah, Cora says, I don't want to see snow. Please go back to Miami. We'll be back soon. Hey, Ian Smith, good to see you, Ian. Welcome. Hey, Frank G says, hey Tom, when the temperature is rising in New York towards summer, hopefully it'll rise soon, but it's going to be like winter weather all week. NNB 045 says, Tom, the saying as Montreal goes, so does New York City weather-wise. We're on the same cold front. Well, NMB 045, hopefully there's no snow near you. So this is the Stardust Diner. I wouldn't really recommend going here, to be totally honest, everybody. It's more of like a tourist thing to do, is like a one-off, and it is very overpriced. Dwart's is April Fool's Day on Friday. So April 1st is going to be a very, very important day for me, and I will let you guys know why later. Well, maybe I won't, but it's a very important day for me. Very, very, very important day. April 1st. Bruce Wayne says, rip face off. Yeah, this cold is ripping my face off for sure.
I love you.
There's a lot of these scammy weed things here. Ian Smith now. Ian Smith. No way, is it really? Sunshine After Rain says April 1st is your daughter's birthday. That's awesome. Very cool. Nomad says, whatever you're gonna say, it's gonna be April Fool's. Funny, but no. April 1st is when they announced the H-1B visa lotteries. Ooh, that is so crazy windy. Oh man. So here's Junior's Cheesecake. The original one is near Atlantic Terminal, Brooklyn, near the Barclays Center. I can't believe this place is still open. Man, it is so cold. Well, we're almost back to the Moynihan train station, which is good. Tom Hawks is, where is Skid Row? I think Skid Row is in, not here. Let's see. All right, so this is West 48th Street and Broadway, headed southbound. Cole says it's 10:57. I think we're right on time. We're making good timing. I'm so glad we got to finally venture up to Billionaires Row. Haven't been there in a long time. But if you look right ahead, this is actually where they dropped the ball on New Year's. Hey, Nicole James says good night and thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nicole, for joining. I appreciate it. And I'm wishing you a very, very happy rest of the week. Hey, Carol Reevy, good to see you. Hope you're well. So for all those who are just joining, Streaming Wars, we took a deep dive into Netflix. We talked about Apple's streaming service. We were talking about the nearly $900 million of free cash that Netflix is bound to generate, and the $1 billion in free cash in the years to come. So if you want to rewatch the beginning of the stream, that was the topic for tonight. And Netflix, man, so much garbage in Times Square. But obviously there is the Oscars tonight, and Netflix was nominated for 26 Oscars. And that is more than anybody's, or out of any of the streaming services at least. Hey, Flowing Happy, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Appreciate it very much. Says thank you for the walk. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support. So here we have the H&M building in Times Square. And fun fact, in this Express clothing store, I actually used to work here as a teenager. I used to work right in there from the hours of 9 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning. It was horrible, but we did get it done. Hey, Darrell Bees has just joined. It's my nightly addiction to Tom. Thanks. Good to see you, Darrell B. Hope you're well. But Flowing Happy, thank you once again for the donation. Appreciate it very, very, very much. Yeah, Latha's like Tom's graveyard shift. You know, a lot of tourists are coming back to the city, which is a very good sign. So everybody's talking about Chris Rock. I'm gonna have to go back and review this video. If anybody wants to drop the link in the chat, I would love to go back and watch it. So in New York, when it gets windy, we have these garbage tornadoes. Look at it. You can actually see a garbage tornado right here. Man, look at all this garbage here, man. Crazy. It's so windy. Fidel cash flow says it looked fake. Yeah, maybe it was like a publicity stunt or something like that. I wouldn't doubt that. Definitely wouldn't doubt that. Nice is amazing city. Good to see you. Ethan G, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining tonight. We're gonna head down into the Moynihan train station. Hey, Chris West says, I watched the uncensored version. It was not fake. Wow. Yeah, Mike S says Hollywood will do anything for ratings. Well, supposedly, I think according to Lay The... Wow, look at all these tourists. It's good to have people back in the city, I guess. Happy that they are coming back. We very rarely come to Times Square, so... Solar 401, good to see you. Sunshine is here. So across the way we have the NASDAQ, and this is where they actually shoot a lot of the, like the squawk on the street, all of those CNBC sort of videos. Man, that wind is so brutal, man. We got to get back to the Miami. Hey, history in the makings, like you got to film during the day. Unfortunately, I won't be able to film during the day. I am working during the day. But maybe we'll try to get at least some footage during the day. So I think as we are streaming the Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures, the S&P 500 E-minis, as well as the NASDAQ 100 Futures are all lower. It's going to be interesting to see how the bond market trades this week. Obviously, that 10-year U.S. Treasury yield has come up quite a bit. The losses in the bond market have been staggering. I think over $2 trillion in losses, which has now eclipsed of that of the financial crisis. It's kind of crazy, but true. Cole says, Tom, make me an Excel tutorial. You know, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to, what's it called? Integrate my Excel models into the Behind the Street newsletter. So that is coming. So stay tuned for that. Excel is a very useful tool, especially for finance. Ooh, we're in the middle of a trash tornado in the city. Somebody says, do the buses run all night? I think so. I think buses run the majority of the night. Hey, Tom Hawk says, what do you think gold is going to do? So if we crack new all-time record highs for gold, I will have to start a position. But Tom, I wrote a little bit of a piece about gold in the newsletter. I'm not sure if you're getting it, but I wrote a little piece about gold and included some infographics and some charts. If you want to check it out for a more in-depth response about commodities specifically. Bruce Wayne says pizza. Yeah, that is Joe's Pizza, very famous spot. Somebody says, I thought crypto was the new gold. So we will be live streaming the 2022 Bitcoin conference from Miami. So we will be hopefully streaming live Kathy Wood's keynote speech as well as Michael Saylor. Hey, you were just at Joe's in the Financial District today. Awesome. You know, right here is artichoke pizza. I'm actually not a big fan of it at all. Hey, Tony Cortez, what's up, Walks from Wall Street? And happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you too. Hope you're having a good one. Could we get a quick time check in the chat? I just want to make sure we are right on time for 700 says you need to do crypto for dummies. Sometimes I cover it in the newsletter. 11:09. We are right on time, guys. I think this is the most perfect timing we've ever had on the stream. Somebody says, I love these walks, they're educational. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. If you guys scan this QR code, a lot of people are asking for tutorials and things like that. This is where we will do most of them. But I think it may be too windy and too blurry for you to see it. But if you scan that QR code, it will bring you to the newsletter where I tend to write about a lot of the stuff we talk about. So if you want more in-depth stuff, you could scan that QR code. And that's where I publish my more formal equity research there. You know, I hope the weather in New York warms up soon, because this is like deep winter weather, and the wind is crazy. The wind is brutal tonight. Lay this as the QR code works. Very cool. Nope, there we have a Tesla. I think this is a Tesla Model S. I think my favorite ones are the Tesla Model Y. Lay this is Tom and his Teslas. Cole, copy that 10-4. Thank you for clarifying that, Cole. Appreciate it. Mila, thank you for watching. All right, now we are at 36th Street. Our final destination is 34th Street and 7th. So we'll be able to see one more shot of the Empire State Building before we conclude. You know, I'm so excited to go on the train. I want to see this Will Smith video that everybody's been talking about. So check this out. Beautiful view of the Empire State Building here. Hey, history in the making says I just subscribed. All notifications, love your vision. Hey, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Much appreciated. Yeah, sometimes when it's very windy, the audio will cut out. It's like probably 20-mile-an-hour winds here. Crazy wind. Yeah, James Bond says, and remember, we want tickets, not stories. Yeah, so the same guy, I always get the same train conductor. And he is such a hard, hard A word. And he's always like, if you want to ride this train, you got to have a ticket. He's like, no stories. Because every time, you'll have so many people try to ride the train for free. And then they tell you a story about, I don't have the money, I lost my wallet, my phone died. He's like, so in order to ride this train, you need to have a ticket. No stories. So I definitely don't want my phone to die, because I can't tell the guy a story, or he's going to kick me off the train to Jamaica Station. Hey, Dalton is checking in from South Dakota. My daughter loves your channel. Her name is Ryan. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week at school. Cosmo Scary says we need to automate that guy. Hilarious. Well, the flower show looks really nice here. Skittles says just hide in the bathroom. That's such a classic Long Island Railroad move. James Robertson, thank you. Yeah, so during the day, that flower show probably is going to look amazing from the outside. Hey, Robert Wilson says, beautiful night here in Miami, Tom. We miss you. Well, I'll be back in Miami soon. Yeah, I definitely would not mind Miami weather tonight in New York City for sure. Wow, Mike S. is Tom. I remember Long Island Road smoking cars. That is crazy. Samantha says Chris Rock had it coming, 100% deserved. I gotta check that out. I really gotta check out to see if that video is. Yeah, Falcon Space says I've learned to embrace the cold. Yeah, Latha's like Tom feeling empathies for the iguanas falling from the trees in Florida. Ryan says, I think it might have been staged for publicity. I'm sure it'll be all over Twitter. If you guys want to connect with us on Twitter, you could follow @WalksWallStreet. So I'm sure all those videos will be on Twitter tonight. Well, Robert says, Tom, it was absolutely staged. Hey, Chris West, thank you for subscribing to the newsletter. Appreciate it. Wow, check out that view of the Empire State Building. Really nice view here. Hey, Robert Wilson, thank you so much. So tomorrow afternoon, I will send out the 20th issue of the Behind the Street newsletter. Can't believe we've already written 20 of these. But here's the last stop. The last stop on the line. So thank you everybody for joining the stream tonight. I think we covered a lot. We talked about all these streaming services. We talked about Netflix projected cash flows for 2022 through 2025. So this was an Oscar sort of themed stream. So thank you all for joining. All of our moderators, thank you so much. So Sunshine After Rain, Latha, Ruby Falcone, everybody, thank you. Bruce Wayne, I appreciate it. Stay warm, everybody. Have a great, positive week. So Sabrina Fair, thank you. Tom, Sunshine After Rain, The Great Walk, Ruby Falcone, Bruce Wayne, Sally, Latha, Cole, Falcon Space, FredX, Con, Photos from Around New York, James Robertson, Johnny, appreciate it. WW. We'll see everybody right back here tomorrow. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'm wishing everybody a very positive, very successful, and productive day on Monday. Make it a good week. We'll see you back here in the greatest city on earth, New York.